Hey everybody, welcome to That's Good Sports Podcast. I'm Brandon Perna here with Will Keys. Both of us, if you're watching on YouTube, have different backgrounds, kind of just changing it up, keeping it real, as the kids say.
Yeah, this is actually green screen behind me. I green screened a 22-year-old's bedroom
into your background. Very authentic.
My bedroom wasn't bedroomy enough for the program. So.
It was a big complaint from the commenters every week.
I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in CGI for this.
Yeah, Will's bedroom looks fake as fuck.
Many people will say it's Photoshop,
but it's not.
It's not.
It's
not
much more than that.
You're just backwards. You're in a parallel universe.
No, I flipped it. I'm normal now.
No, not to me.
Oh,
not to the viewers at home.
Oh, weird.
Those are the people that really matter.
Well. Hopefully, most people are listening to this on iTunes and can't see our stupid faces.
Let's hope so. We
got a lot of shit to talk about today. The Broncos hire a new head coach. Obviously, Vic Fangio. We'll give you thoughts about that. Just really good thoughts. Probably going to just spend a lot of time talking about the Broncos coach, what it means. Then the NFL's got a lot of new coaches being hired. Matt LaFleur going to the Packers. Cardinals hire Kliff Kingsbury. Bruce Arians going to Tampa. Freddie Kitchens staying in Cleveland. And then we'll do our playoff game picks, preview all of the playoff games. So a lot to cover.
Super excited to pick these games. Spoiler alert, I went 0 for 4 last week.
What did I do?
You were 2 for 2.
2 for 2.
You got the first 2 right, and then you missed Baltimore and Chicago. Which Chicago, I can't blame you either way. That was
I picked
you're about a millimeter away from winning. Yeah, you did.
Wow.
I know. Wow.
I was doing that the other night to my wife.
Owen Wilson's our first guest on the podcast.
Yeah, I did it, the one I just did wasn't even that good, but the one I was doing the other night was even worse. It didn't sound anything like Owen Wilson, but I think I did it for 10 minutes, and she was not pleased that I wouldn't stop doing it. But I feel like Owen Wilson's one of those guys I feel like everybody can do an impression of him except for me.
Yeah, no, you're probably right. I think it's Owen Wilson doing wow, and then Christopher Walken saying anything.
Right. It's like I think the British equivalent is Michael Caine, right?
Yes. Yeah. When I was actually in Europe, I was watching what's their late night TV show that's better than any of ours, Graham Norton. And it was Michael Caine. It's there's a bunch of YouTube clips. Michael Caine talking about how whenever he says his name in his Cockney accent, it just sounds like he's saying my cocaine. My cocaine.
My cocaine. My cocaine.
Some men just want to see the world burn.
Ow.
Just get shocked.
Yeah, there's so much electricity.
The electricity from that impression.
Yeah.
sent a shock into your ear.
Hurts when it goes into your ear hole.
Yeah. All right, we're going to do our impressions of every single new head coach hiring.
Okay.
It's going to go great.
It's going to be really hard, but we practiced all week. Will.
Vic Fangio, if you do a Vic Fangio impression, that's just a John Taffer impression from Bar Rescue.
Yeah. That joke I put on my Instagram. It's in the video that'll be up on my channel. And I gave you 0 credit in either of those spots. But
as long as you give me money, I'm okay.
Yeah, I'm giving you credit now.
It's more important.
Yeah, it's way more important.
So the Denver Broncos, some would argue the greatest bar rescue of them all. They hired Vic Fangio to a 4-year deal with a team option on year 5. I was thinking about this too. The last coach to actually make it to year 5 was Mike Shanahan, who made it to, I want to say, year 14 before he got fired.
Was it that long? I thought it was 11 years.
I think it was 95 to 2008.
Oh, yeah, that's crazy.
My memory serves correctly. Yeah, it's been kind of a carousel ever since. No, not that they haven't had successful head coaches, because they have. You'd have to say that John Fox was a successful head coach, if maybe just like a little bit of a bystander. But obviously, Gary Kubiak was only there for 2 years. And speaking of Gary Kubiak, he's going to be the new offensive coordinator. Which also means that Sean Kugler, who was a really successful offensive line coach this year with the Broncos, their two offensive philosophies, power, zone, don't really mesh. So Sean Kugler's going to Tampa. Speaking of which, Bruce Arians will be in Tampa Bay. So everybody's all over the place. But anyway, going back to Fangio, what was your initial reaction? Obviously, it was between Mike Munchak and Vic Fangio as recently as this morning, until we found out that it was in fact going to be Vic Fangio, the Chicago Bears defensive coordinator.
Yeah, I heard this morning both Munchak and Fangio were now the favorites to land the job. My initial reaction was, and still is, I don't know.
Whoa, calm down on that take.
It's
easy there.
Fat. I don't know. I mean, I think people got a little upset with me on Twitter because I think I tweeted something like the Broncos announced they'll fire Vic Fangio in 2 years after naming him head coach or something like that, because Vance lasted 2 years, Kubiak was there 2 years, and people are like, you're being super pessimistic about this, Jesus. And it's like one of those things I'm going to be optimistic about. I think I know Teddy Bruschi thinks it's a good hire for the Broncos, and when has he ever been wrong? So
never.
It's just like, I don't know. There's so much that needs to go right for a head coach to have success, on top of him being competent and ready for the job. The one thing I think you can argue for sure is I'm not sure there's anybody in the NFL more ready to make that step after 40 years of football coaching and never getting a head coach shot.
Yeah, so we should talk about like where he's been.
Well, you should.
NFL.
You got those facts.
Okay, never mind. I'll talk about where he's been then. His first coaching job was at his high school, so that's always nice. Yeah, he's 60 years old, by the way.
Dunmore?
Yeah, Dunmore in Pennsylvania, which you discovered is near Scranton, Pennsylvania.
No, it is literally right next to Scranton, which is where Mike Munchak was born. 3 miles apart, those guys were born, Munchak and Fangio. So
it's like it's like Steph Curry and LeBron James being born in the same hospital.
Is that true?
Yeah, it's true.
Oh,
fun fact for the day.
Wow.
Yeah, so he's from Scranton adjacent. Wow.
Sorry.
Please don't turn off the podcast. He's from Scranton adjacent. He worked in the USFL as a linebackers coach, I think. Maybe just a defensive assistant, with Jim Mora, senior, not junior, playoffs guy. And then Jim Mora brought him to New Orleans, where he was the linebackers coach from 86 to 94. And he had, under his tutelage at linebacker, Ricky Jackson, Vaughn Johnson, and Sam Mills. Ricky Jackson is a Hall of Famer. Is Sam Mills a Hall of Famer?
I don't know.
I'm not sure. But he's one of the best players in Saints history and Panthers history as well, which is where Fangio went after New Orleans. But he's played with a ton of good linebackers is what I noticed. He played obviously there. He played with Sam Mills again in Carolina and Kevin Green in Carolina, who's a Hall of Fame defensive end. And then he went to Baltimore for a few years. So he had Ray Lewis. He had some of Ray Lewis's best years. Then the next notable stop was San Francisco, where obviously he had Patrick Willis, Ahmad Brooks, Navarro Bowman, and he got the best years out of all three of those guys. And then, of course, most recently, Khalil Mack, Roquan Smith, Danny Trevathan. So this guy knows how to use linebackers, which makes me excited to see what he gets out of guys like Bradley Chubb, Von Miller, and even if he gets more than we expected out of Todd Davis and Brandon Marshall too.
Yeah, Josie Jewell in there as well, a young guy.
Mm-hmm.
I think he can do a lot with. Brandon Marshall may or may not be back with the Broncos. That's kind of up in the air.
Right.
Although Marshall said he would definitely restructure his contract to stay in Denver, which is cool because I think the thing that's hindered Marshall's the last two seasons has been injuries, which you can either say like, well, he's just going to get injured again, or you can be like, well, if he stays healthy, maybe he would be a great piece to have on defense there. And you're right. Fangio's done a lot with linebackers, and it kind of – I don't know. I felt like Todd Davis played really well at times this season. Josie Jewell was kind of up and down for a rookie. But, yeah, he should be able to get more out of the guys the Broncos kind of currently have. And the thing that I think you have to be most excited about with a defensive guy who's been in the league as long as he has and has had success with so many different players is that he can identify the right kind of guys for what he wants to do. And one thing I'm talking about in my video today, too, is like, when Jack Del Rio came over, he brought over Brandon Marshall and he brought over Terrence Knighton. So maybe Vic Fangio can bring over.
Think what I'm thinking?
Khalil Mack.
Oh, that would work. I was thinking Danny Trevathan, part 2.
Yeah, I think Danny Trevathan has another year on his contract, but then
it doesn't matter.
Their safety. Adrian Amos is an unrestricted free agent, and their corner Bryce Callahan is an unrestricted free agent. Both played very well in the secondary. Callahan broke his ankle in December, but he's a nickel corner. But honestly, I think it's time to have two guys who can play in the nickel corner and then just one shutdown corner because teams run so many crossing routes and underneath bullshit. Like, I think that would be different. And I think a guy like Adrian Amos could really help the back end of the secondary at safety. So there's maybe like guys like that or maybe there's guys on the Bears roster who, didn't play a lot because there was so much talent on that defense that are available that we don't know about. Just like absolutely. Brandon Marshall when he came over from Jacksonville. Like, we didn't know who the fuck he was, and he turned out to be a huge key to the Broncos Super Bowl run. So those are the things you think about when a guy who, is so good on defense and has been around so long. And I guess my question is, how stupid were the 49ers to hire a Jim Tomsula over – was Vic Fangio still on the roster when they made Jim Tomsula the head coach?
Yeah, Vic Fangio left. They got rid of him when they got rid of Jim Harbaugh.
Oh, okay.
Because Harbaugh brought Fangio to San Francisco from Stanford.
Right, because he was there for a year.
Yeah.
Okay.
With Andrew Luck. So, yeah.
So you're saying Vic Fangio might get us Andrew Luck, too?
I'm not ruling it out, no.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
I think – can we talk about, like, my favorite part about this hiring? It's that while everybody's going out to get dime store Sean McVay and anybody that Sean McVay has had a 5-minute conversation with and anybody that looks remotely like Sean McVay, basically like young offensive-minded guys, the Broncos go completely against the grain and say, well, when we win, it's usually because of our defense. So let's double down. Let's go defense. We're not going to – like I talked about this the last episode. If you're going to try to get into an arms race with Kansas City and San Diego, you're going to get trampled and you're going to be stuck in third place for this division for a long time. So you got to play to your strengths, and the Broncos are doing this right now, and I think it's the exact right move. I don't know if that was their thought process, but I like it either way.
Yeah, I think like finding a quarterback so hard, right? So you're not going to bet on them making that connecting with that Hail Mary just yet. But the defense, despite giving up like 3 to 4 just giant plays every game that kind of killed them, their DVOA was like top 5 in the league. And there's a lot of positive things you could take away from the Broncos defense last season. And I feel like you can make the Broncos defense very good again, a lot easier than you can find a quarterback right now. So I think I agree with you there. I guess my question is, who's the offensive line coach that they let go or they're going to let interview in Tampa now?
Sean Kugler.
Okay. And it makes sense that Kubiak kind of runs a different offensive scheme than him, but I feel like he was the first guy we have seen in a while get more out of the offensive line than we've expected on a year where a lot of key players got hurt there. So
almost all of them, yeah. And a year where everybody got hurt and Garrett Bowles was holding on every other play.
Yeah, so I don't know. Like, I guess that's interesting. I guess that could put it into question whether or not Kubiak's the right guy or if he's just Elway's guy. But I think the one thing, like, trying to be super optimistic about it, the one thing you can say is Case Keenum's probably more well-suited to run Gary Kubiak's offense than what, Bill Musgrave was kind of trying to do with him.
No, definitely.
And I don't even know how much of, like, Musgrave might have been doing some of the things Kubiak does. Like, I'm not smart enough to know that shit, like, week to week, like, what exactly the offense is doing. I just know it didn't work.
Yeah. Well, we know that he wasn't running enough play action, just kind of as one of the counting stats that us dumbs can comprehend. They were running the ball well, but they weren't running play action off of the run. And obviously that's a huge staple of the Kubiak offense. So as long as they're running the ball, you don't think that they're going to let that opportunity slip to run a ton of play actions and bootlegs to try to capitalize on that. And that's what you like about the Gary Kubiak hiring or conversion or whatever you want to call it. It's offensive coordinator from the front office, I think.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that's kind of a misconception out there, which I've had, is that, Kubiak's offense is, like, just old and dated. But I've listened to a lot of stuff recently that talked about, one, C.J. Anderson just saying, like, what they do in Los Angeles is very similar to what they did with Kubiak. And I think Mark Schlereth talked quite a bit about it as well, how Sean McVay's offense, Kyle Shanahan's offense, it's very similar. They just do some slightly different things like pre-snap to get the looks that they're doing, and that the coaches are identifying where they can have their mismatches and make their adjustments in game. And it's not these huge things, it's just little things. But
yeah, and where do you think the Sean McVay offense came from? It came from Washington. And Washington came from Mike Shanahan.
It all came from
Mike Shanahan. Yeah, was with Gary Kubiak in Denver when he was the offensive coordinator. It's all interrelated in that big coaching tree. Gary Kubiak's a couple branches away from where Sean McVay is right now, and where Matt LaFleur and all those guys are.
Right. Pardon me.
Thank you for that.
Okay, so I just saw this tweet like right before we started recording, but it was from Mike Kliff, and he tweeted that Clint Kubiak is receiving strong consideration as the Broncos QB coach. And then Bomani Jones quote tweeted it with just LOL.
Yeah, I mean, like I was telling you before the show, like I think this is just like him trying to point out nepotism. Maybe a little bit of nepotism, but Clint Kubiak's been around for a long time, and he's certainly worthy of a quarterback's job. Like he's probably knocking on the door of an OC job
in the next 2 years or something.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm surprised no one looked at him for a head coaching job, like with all like the young offensive guys that are getting jobs now.
With his 6 degrees separation from fucking
buddy, I don't think it's even 6, but yeah, no, he's been around the block a couple times. He's not like 19 years old or anything. I think he's at like 30 at least, which has to make him as old as Sean McVay. So he's earned this job. So I'm not.
He is 31. He is 31 years old.
Years young. He's definitely worked his way up to this job. So I don't, nothing to laugh at from Bomani Jones.
And then I guess like the one last thing is
you wrote Drew Lock ? I want to see what.
I'll get there in a second.
Are you just wondering if he's a person?
I know he's a person. Is he
Okay.
John Locke's son? I don't know. I'm going to ask you about him. But first, the last thing, Benjamin Albright tweeted, the early rumor is the Broncos are going to try and bring in Ed Donatel as the defensive coordinator, who has worked with Fangio for quite some time. So that might be the name that ends up being kind of the de facto defensive coordinator, because Fangio probably will be that guy as a head coach as well.
Yeah. So
we'll see.
I like it. There seems to be a big-time division of labor on this team between Fangio's kind of the captain of the defense and Kubiak is the offensive coordinator. It seems like I think whenever you have like this feels like if the situation between Hugh Jackson and what's his name, Todd Haley, it's like, and Gregg Williams, it's like if all those guys were just like benevolent leaders instead of just huge dickheads to each other, and it worked out. It's
right.
Like I don't think like Gary Kubiak's going to be involved in some big power struggle and like undermining his head coach and his head coach undermining his coordinators in front of like everybody on the staff. So I like it. Like I think it's going to work out.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. It feels like it should. It feels like the Broncos wouldn't have hired their head coach if they didn't think that relationship with Kubiak was going to work. And I feel like that's something they probably made very clear during the interview process. Otherwise they would have let Kubiak go interview in other spots for the offensive coordinator position. So I think it was kind of locked in that he was going to take that role regardless of kind of what happens moving forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and I feel like the health concerns for Gary Kubiak have been put to rest since Paxton Lynch is literally not able to kill him on the sideline anymore with his bad play, like he did nearly in that Falcons game. So
Paxton Lynch all the whole time.
Yeah. It's like, get him out of there or I'll get back on the sideline.
Okay, so I have Drew Lock ?
Yes.
Because I've seen people talking about like if he's there at 10, the Broncos are interested in taking him. Elway went and watched him play. I don't know who the fuck he is. I've heard the name. I don't know what school he plays for. I don't know if he's any good. I was just going to ask you if you know anything about Drew Lock.
He's a quarterback for Missouri. He's there for 4 years. He's a senior. Wears number 3. White, pretty tall. He's got blonde hair. He's got a really good arm. So that's all I can really say about him. I'm not really like a big draft nerd, like people who just like, just chew tape for months on end getting ready for the draft. But like, I have a few opinions here and there. Right now, I don't know if I'd take him over Dwayne Haskins, but he's probably the closest available quarterback at 10.
Who's Haskins?
Who knows?
Where does he play?
Ohio State. He won the Rose Bowl. He's the guy who threw 50 touchdowns this year.
The Ohio State.
You
didn't say that.
And Ohio State.
Okay. We'll talk more about that after free agency when it's appropriate to start talking about the draft. Okay.
Mm-hmm. When I do my big board of 500 players.
Right.
And Brandon does his mock draft, his 7-round mock draft.
Exactly. For every team, not just the Broncos.
Can't wait.
Okay, so I think we both are going to give a yes thumbs up to
yes
at this point.
I would have given a thumbs 45 degrees down for Mike Munchak, just because we've seen what he can do, and it's just not an inspiring pick. So I'm glad they went with Vic Fangio, because I'm going 45 degrees up right now.
Yeah. No, I think the cool thing about Fangio is you've seen a lot of Chicago Bears players show that they really like playing for him and respect him. And it kind of reminds you a little bit like the way, even though Wade Phillips is old, like the players loved Wade Phillips. So, hopefully whatever that is about him, it translates, with the Denver Broncos and their locker room. It doesn't always happen that way, but that's another kind of, I guess, positive thing to look at.
Yeah, no, there's like a little kind of like a Bruce Arians feel to him where he's older and you're like, how did this guy not become a head coach at some point? But like he's always kind of had his role as a defensive coordinator.
Right.
And I don't think like it's any fault of his own that he hasn't become a head coach at this point. I think he's probably just comfortable being a defensive coordinator for a long time.
Yeah.
But no, I'm excited I'm surprised too that he's never been like an interim coach or anything. But I don't know if he's been on that bad of a team to the point where they've needed one. Maybe like the 2005 Texans with Dom Capers, but that was kind of a train wreck.
Yeah, and I mean, I think like at this point in his career too, for him to take a head coaching job, he really has to want it. Because like for him, staying with Chicago would have been an easy choice. There should be a contender next year. A ton of their defensive players will be back. Like that's the job you've been doing for so long.
Yeah, he was there for 4 years.
Well, I mean, just defense, and I just mean like defensive coordinating for so long. But like, I feel like that's hard to walk away from unless you really want to be a head coach.
Yeah, and it means like he liked the destination too.
Yeah,
and he saw like, well, you got Bradley Chubb, you got Von Miller to work with, you got Chris Harris, X amount of free agency dollars to work with to build the defense, and then the number 10 pick, which who knows? They could go anywhere. They could draft the corner, they could draft a quarterback. It's pretty much wide open at this point.
Yeah, probably with Fangio, maybe a defensive player becomes a greater probability for them to take it number 10, and maybe the smarter thing to do in this draft.
Yeah, maybe you want to take Greedy Williams at LSU and give someone to pair with Chris Harris back there. Exactly.
And now we will transition to NFL talking, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it smoothly by saying Vic Fangio declined the opportunity to interview with the Miami Dolphins.
Yep. And
I believe Munchak ended up not interviewing there as well.
I think not to shit on your point here, but I think the Dolphins canceled on Fangio. Munchak canceled on the Dolphins.
Okay. Either way, what we're learning is nobody really wants the Dolphins head coaching job.
No, I don't blame them.
That appears to be the least desirable head coaching position.
Now, some of the shit we said last night is already outdated, so just deal with it. But Adam Gase did land the New York Jets head coaching job after Peyton Manning called and vouched for him. If anybody gets you a head coaching job in the NFL, it is Peyton Manning. And Todd Bowles is going to be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defensive coordinator under Bruce Arians. So I just had to give you those updates. You probably already know, but if I didn't, we would have sounded real stupid.
Yeah, I wonder if
Todd Monken.
I wonder if Adam Gase will actually land a head coaching gig.
I don't know. Like, I don't think he was that bad in Miami, other than the part where he ran Jay Ajayi and Jarvis Landry out of town.
Yeah.
But he got to the playoffs with a nice little Ryan Tannehill, Matt Moore cocktail back in 2016. Had to work with Jay Cutler for all of 2017. And then another Brock Osweiler, Ryan Tannehill cocktail this year.
If Ryan Tannehill is your quarterback, you're going to be drinking some sort of cocktail to finish out.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that he's an alcoholic and he has to drink on the job.
Right.
Allegedly. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Yeah.
Dolphins still open or?
Yeah, well, for the purpose of – it'll probably be closed by the time this podcast airs, but just to cover our bases, let's say it's still open.
Okay. Yeah, and okay, so then Fangio coming to Denver, that has opened up the defensive coordinator position with the Bears, which Todd Bowles is apparently now deciding between Chicago or Tampa Bay, because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they hired Bruce Arians, right? Or they're negotiating with Bruce Arians, which is probably a good thing for Tampa Bay, but nobody really cares about the Buccaneers.
The biggest winner, I think, is Trent Green and Greg Gumbel.
Oh, do they call that game a lot?
No, Bruce Arians was the third member of their crew this year, and he was just so hilariously out of place the whole year.
And then we got so the Browns. I think what they did is interesting because they stayed with an internal candidate that's not Gregg Williams, which is offensive coordinator Freddie Kitchens. Which then you would think maybe they just keep Gregg Williams as defensive coordinator, but they fired Gregg Williams.
Nope.
Now he is a free agent in the NFL yet again.
Yeah, it felt like they were expecting Freddie Kitchens to be like the head coach in waiting, which he was just promoted to offensive coordinator when they got rid of Todd Haley. So this was like a huge leap. But obviously Baker Mayfield took off as soon as they installed Freddie Kitchens as the OC. So they thought, like, why we could grab Bruce Arians and have him be like the puppet head coach for 2 years, like the NFL version of Ronald Reagan. Or, we could just like skip the waiting process and put Freddie Kitchens in now, which I don't know if he knows anything about how to coach, a whole team, because he's a pretty young guy. And like, this feels like another, along with the Kliff Kingsbury and the Matt LaFleur thing, this feels like, kind of a reach. Like, I like the idea of not wanting to disrupt Baker Mayfield's progress, but I don't think you disrupt it if you keep him as OC and grab another guy to be the head coach.
Yeah, I mean, what's kind of interesting there, too, is it seemed like Bruce Arians wanted to go to Cleveland. Seemed like Mike McCarthy was interested in that job.
Yeah.
But I think part of their deal is they have to keep Freddie Kitchens as offensive coordinator, and maybe that's not what would be in their plans. Also, Mike McCarthy supposedly turned down the opportunity to interview with the Denver Broncos. I don't know whether that's confirmed or not, but that's what I've heard.
Yeah, we don't want you anyway.
Okay, so then Matt LaFleur goes to the Packers.
Yep.
That seems like Packers just hired whoever the fuck Aaron Rodgers wanted. And maybe pairing Aaron Rodgers with the guy who supposedly is a good offensive coordinator as your head coach is a good thing. I think I was listening to an interview on Mostly Football, Martellus Bennett's show.
Hold on. I just Googled Freddie Kitchens, and I found out that his wife's name is Ginger Kitchens. It's preposterous.
I don't know if that was worth interrupting what I was about to say.
All right, go ahead. Sorry.
Whoa.
Her name is Ginger Kitchens.
I thought you were going to break me some news, man. I got excited.
Did I not break news right there?
Ginger Kitchens.
They've been married since 2000, so.
Oh, wow.
He might actually be older than I thought. Or maybe he's one of those guys that got married in college. Who knows?
Yeah, that feels like a college marriage.
Freddie Kitchens, born 1974. So, stand correct.
I think it was, let's see, Martellus Bennett, who's played with Aaron Rodgers, and then they, who the fuck were they talking to? Who are other tight ends that played there recently in Green Bay? Not Jimmy Graham.
Jared Cook?
No.
Jermichael Finley?
No.
Lance Kendricks?
No.
Oh,
my God.
Tom Crabtree?
Why am I?
Mark Chimera?
Who is there?
Bubba Franks.
No.
Okay. Damn.
Let's see here. Who am I thinking of?
Sam Martellus Bennett.
Oh my God. You did really good at just listing off Green Bay Packers tight ends, though. I'll tell you that.
Got more where that came from.
Why? I forget who was on there. Maybe it was Finley. But they're basically saying, like, playing with Aaron Rodgers, this is what would happen in the huddle. Mike McCarthy would call in a play, and Aaron Rodgers would go, all right, no, we're not running that. Okay, you do this route, you do this route, you do this route, you do this route. And then they're talking about how, like, being a tight end there is not great because Aaron Rodgers likes to throw it outside and deep. They're like, he just likes to show off every play because he can make the throw.
Because he can?
Yeah, so they're saying, like,
I think I would do the same thing too.
It didn't really matter what the offensive coordinator, calls there. Aaron Rodgers was just going to call his own fucking play anyway, which I thought was interesting. So maybe Matt LaFleur makes a difference. Maybe Aaron Rodgers just continues to do his own thing. And then the Cardinals take another young dude, Kliff Kingsbury.
Yeah, that's Kliff with a K.
The most British-sounding name there is. He's young. Was at Texas Tech.
Yeah, he's at Texas Tech while Pat Mahomes was there, and he was the head coach or was he the head coach or the offensive coordinator for USC for roughly a month? Let's find out.
OC, I think.
Yeah, I think he was just Let's make absolutely sure of this.
Yeah, but he worked with Mahomes, and who else did he work with?
At Texas Tech?
Well, he's worked with two big quarterbacks right now.
He worked with Tom Brady on the Patriots when he was a player there.
Not that asshole.
He was with the Broncos in the 2005 offseason.
Oh.
As an offseason and or practice squad member only. Now, let's see.
Right.
He was a coach with Houston. I'm not sure. I think that means Houston, the University of Houston, from 2008 to 2011.
Oh, he tutored Case Keenum while at the University of Houston, Texas, or the University of Houston.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. He's also the offensive coordinator in 2012 for Texas A&M, who, if you'll remember, the quarterback there was Johnny Manziel.
Right.
Got 17 career passing yards in the NFL. Not bad.
Yeah, and Baker Mayfield was under him at Texas Tech before he left and went to Oklahoma. So he's worked with a lot of guys that ended up being good in the NFL, but under him, I guess you could argue underperformed in college.
Yeah, let's hold off on the Pat Mahomes thing because Pat Mahomes is the quarterback he is now because of Andy Reid, way more than because of anybody at Texas Tech, Kliff Kingsbury or otherwise, because mechanically when he got to the NFL, before he got to the NFL, Patrick Mahomes was just all over the place and he was 100% arm. And I refuse to give anybody credit for what Patrick Mahomes has done in 2018 back at Texas Tech.
Yeah, and maybe like a guy like Josh Rosen, who I think mechanically is fine. Just needs somebody. Josh Rosen needs somebody to fucking help him next year. I don't know if it's going to be Kliff Kingsbury as head coach, but
yeah, he was the offensive coordinator at USC. So he went in the span of like 2 months. He went from head coach of Texas Tech to the OC at USC. And then people were like, no. We want you to be a head coach in the NFL.
Yeah, so he went –
that's a pretty huge jump.
He got demoted and then got a huge promoted over his previous job.
Yeah.
He got a huge promoted over his previous job.
It makes no sense.
No, it really doesn't.
This is probably the biggest reach of them all.
So probably
but if it works, whatever.
Cardinals.
Yeah. The one thing I do like, though, is you spent a high pick. You traded up to get Josh Rosen, I think. I think they traded up. Don't quote me on that.
I don't know.
But since you spent that kind of investment on Josh Rosen, you have to get him a head coach that's going to help him out, and that's offensive-minded. So for that reason, I do actually really like the idea of getting an offensive-minded coach for Josh Rosen, much like, Sean McVay with Jared Goff, not to use the obvious example that's been beating a dead horse for an entire week, but that's what teams are trying to do. And you have to give your young quarterback someone that's going to put everything around him and put him in the right position to succeed. I just don't know if that specific person is Kliff Kingsbury. I probably would have felt better if he was torn away from USC as their head coach, just because it just feels like so much of a reach. But
yeah, and I guess
if it works out, I'll look stupid, so that's fine.
The nice thing about what the Broncos did is they probably made the smallest reach. They made the smallest reach.
Yeah, they've got short little T-Rex arms reaching for Vic Fangio. Yeah.
And also just to clarify, Bob Wiley is done in Cleveland as well.
God damn it. God damn it. That's tough to hear.
All right, so now after all this head coaching news, we've got playoff football. A lot of great playoff football over this last weekend. As you mentioned, you picked every game wrong.
That's right. That's right.
Really fucking hard to do.
So I don't know. So what should I do here? Because do I just lean into it and then assume that every pick I'm going to be making is wrong and pick the Chiefs and the Patriots?
Probably.
And the Cowboys, for that matter?
Probably.
I mean, but the fact that I've already said it, that's kind of jinxing it. You know?
What was your one takeaway from the playoff weekend? What's the one thing that kind of stood out to you?
Lamar Jackson wasn't ready. Andrew Luck is really good. Don't count out Big Dick Nick. And Seattle didn't throw the ball enough.
That was 4 things, but they were all spot on.
Yes.
So you do not get
4 for the price of 1.
Criticized. Yeah, I mean, I think Andrew Luck is really fucking good was my first takeaway.
Yep. So is Frank Reich.
Lamar Jackson and Deshaun Watson just look like first-time quarterbacks in a playoff game. But as shitty as Lamar Jackson was for, I don't know, 50 minutes of a 60-minute football game, he got shit going in the last 10 minutes. Now, part of that's maybe that the Chargers just kind of let off the gas too much.
Yeah.
But he put them in a chance to at least almost be able to win. The Texans were never able to do that against the Colts, which you could maybe just argue the Colts are just a more complete team than, say even the Chargers are right now. But Lamar Jackson, it just kind of reminds me so much of Tim Tebow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was bad football, and then, oh shit, you had a chance and you did win games with him. So that's kind of interesting. Yeah, the Seahawks coaching, terrible. Cowboys, I think defense, just it looks like a playoff level defense. And the Eagles, man, if Nick Foles gets them back to the Super Bowl, it will be one of the all-time great football stories of a guy who was a backup 2 years in a row takes you to the Super Bowl. I don't even give a fuck if he wins it this year, but if he gets them back there, that's just crazy, and it puts the Eagles in just an insane position this offseason with options to do kind of whatever they want.
Yeah. I mean, so this has kind of been the sports talk radio discussion for the week. So I apologize if you've been listening to this kind of discussion for 72 hours straight. But at what point has Foles just earned the starting job in Philly? If he beats the Saints, if he wins the NFC Championship, does he have to win the Super Bowl?
Nope. He has to win the Super Bowl and be named MVP again. Could you imagine winning back-to-back Super Bowl and Super Bowl MVP awards and still not getting the starting job over?
I don't think has anybody ever won back-to-back Super Bowl MVPs?
Maybe Tom Brady.
It might have been Brady. Yeah, it might have been Brady.
But
Brady didn't win one of them. Brady won, or Deion Branch won one of them.
Deion Branch got one.
Brady
got one for that first Super Bowl, even though he didn't deserve it.
Yeah. Oh, no, he didn't win because he won the first one, and then there's a year in between. And then he won the Panthers one, and then Deion Branch won the Eagles one.
But what about the –
And James White should have won the Falcons one.
What about Seahawks and Falcons? He won those two, didn't he?
Yeah, but those weren't back-to-back.
They weren't?
No. The Broncos are in between.
Oh, that's right. Fuck. I was thinking the Seahawks Super Bowl was after that was 49, and then the Broncos won, and then 51 was Falcons, and then 52 was Eagles. Okay. God, your memory's good. You got that young brain.
Steel trap.
Okay, so this weekend,
yes,
on Saturday, we got Colts Chiefs, and then Cowboys Rams.
I'm excited for Colts Chiefs.
Yeah, that game's going to be you're excited because the Colts have a really good chance to beat your second most hated player on earth, Patrick Mahomes.
I'm excited. That's all I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm very excited too, but I really wish the Colts were playing the Patriots this weekend.
Really? I think they have a better chance in Kansas City than in New England. And I think the Chargers have a better chance in New England than the Colts would.
Okay, so you're predicting maybe Chargers-Colts in the AFC Championship?
That's what I'd like to see. However, that'd be kind of funny to see a playoff game in StubHub Stadium with like 25,000 people there, all Colts fans. But I don't see two wild card teams advancing. It's just like I don't know that like this stat's been going around forever, but since 2013, like it's been all like one or two seeds.
Right. Well, maybe this is the year that changes. Maybe
I think one of them will.
Wrong.
I think one
maybe
of them
you picked 0-4 last week, so you need to open your mind.
Or maybe I'm doing that on purpose. So I know whatever I pick is going to be wrong.
You're going to trick it. So Colts Chiefs.
Yeah.
I would argue that the Colts have a better chance to win that game because their defense is better all around. But
Yes.
I think Arrowhead is, I guess not in the playoffs, but
I think it's just a tough place to play.
It is like they have arguably like the best crowd noise every week. It's them in Seattle are the two loudest stadiums, and that's going to affect Andrew Luck and the Colts offense more than it'll affect the Colts defense.
Yeah.
And the Colts defense did a pretty good job against Deshaun Watson for a while. Then he started making plays, but I think they're going to have a much harder time with Patrick Mahomes because he does a better job at getting rid of the ball. Like he scrambles to make a play with his arm. Deshaun Watson sometimes scrambles to make a play with his legs. So they're going to get better quarterback play from Mahomes. And even if the one thing that worried me about the Colts is they took that 21-0 lead in the middle of the second quarter, but then they didn't score any more points after that.
Yeah, I think a lot of that was – go ahead.
I was going to say, if you're playing the Chiefs, like you're going to probably have to score more than 21 points.
Yeah, I think a lot of that was by design. I don't think they weren't trying to score. I think they were just trying to run the clock with Marlon Mack. But, I mean, Patrick Mahomes is obviously – he's going to be the MVP this season. But we still don't know what he's going to look like in the playoffs. Obviously, Lamar Jackson wasn't playing like Patrick Mahomes, but his play went off a cliff in the wild card round. Same for Deshaun Watson, who was just throwing the ball at people's feet in that Texans-Colts game. And one thing like about the crowd in Arrowhead is I think everybody in Kansas City senses that this year is different than all the others where they blew playoff games. And at the same time, the fact that it's supposed to be different and they actually have a chance to win the Super Bowl this year might make them even more tense and might cause them to blow it or get really quiet if the Colts take a lead in this game. So
yeah, that's a lot of –
I'm excited to see that dynamic.
It's not just the pressure of a playoff game for Kansas City. It's the pressure of a playoff game and always losing in the playoffs.
And it's against the Colts, who beat them in 2004 in Arrowhead and then had the second greatest playoff comeback in NFL history in 2013. By the way, I was just thinking about this. The two guys with the biggest playoff comebacks in NFL history, and this is going to be in the video, Frank Reich and Andrew Luck. We're working together.
Ooh, what
double
a
magic.
stat.
Am I predicting a 38-point comeback this week?
Dang.
Not predicting it.
That is a good stat. And Andrew Luck, didn't he do it against – was it against the Chiefs?
It was, yeah. It was against the Chiefs. It was against Andy Reid.
Oh, fuck, yeah.
What the fuck? What happens with Andy Reid in Jan? Is it just that, like, it's cold when it's cold outside, like his blood thickens and it just doesn't make it quickly enough to his brain? Yeah.
I don't know. Well, I mean, you could argue in Philadelphia, he was always really good at winning that first playoff game and then losing in the NFC Championship.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he digressed a little bit, but
yeah, he's gotten like better in the regular season and worse in the playoffs.
I don't know, man. I feel like
okay, another couple of points about the Chiefs. What was the last good team they beat at home?
I don't know.
Yeah. What was the last good team they beat?
I don't know.
They lost to the Seahawks. I don't know is my point.
Damn it. I thought you had the information in your brain.
No. I think the last good team they beat might have been
the Broncos.
The Chargers in week 1, maybe, because they beat the Steelers. The Steelers didn't make the playoffs.
They beat the Ravens in December.
Oh, okay, that's right. Yeah, we'll see. It might be kind of that loss or that win kind of looks bad. Lamar Jackson taking it to overtime. I don't know if I'm ready to call that a great win, but
Yeah, in December they played Baltimore, then the Chargers, which they lost by 1 point.
Mm-hmm.
The Seahawks beat them, and then they beat the shit out of the Raiders 35-3.
So,
Yeah, man. No, look, this game
slowed down after
this game can easily go either way.
Yeah,
it feels like the Chiefs have a team to get them over that playoff hump.
I don't know, though, dude. I don't know. Like, they have the offense, too.
Yeah, but they also –
we see it every year. It's like you need a defense in the playoffs.
They have Eric Berry back. He's got a couple games under his belt. Their pass rush has been really good between D4, Justin Houston, and Chris Jones.
But that was my last point. Is their pass rush is their only advantage on defense, and
and now they're playing a team.
Indianapolis O-line has been perfect. They didn't allow a single sack against J.J. Watt and Jadeveon Clowney last week.
I know. I'm not saying I'm not saying they're going to win.
Let's argue. Let's get a little worse take going.
I'm saying it feels like this could be the season they do it. It feels like the Colts could win this game. Also feels like the Colts have been running on a little bit of magic for quite a long time, and sometimes that runs out. Like,
I don't know. Like, I see what you're saying, but like, I don't think they're using up magic. I think they're just good. Like, it's not like they're winning these games in like ridiculous fashion. Like, they beat the Titans by multiple scores, beat the Texans by multiple scores. Like, they're winning these games pretty convincingly.
Well, I'm gonna pick the Colts to win. I've been higher on the Colts than anybody.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
And because, like, look, I'm partially rooting for Phillip Rivers to at least get a chance at a Super Bowl. I don't hate the Chiefs, but as AFC West teams, like, I have a real issue rooting for the Chargers and the Chiefs. And so to me, the Colts are the one team like I can go all in on and say, yeah, I want to see them in the Super Bowl. But I'll be happy seeing the Colts beat the Chiefs. I'm going to be rooting for the Chargers to beat the goddamn Patriots. You know that. So I'm going to pick the Colts to beat the Chiefs, and they're my favorite team in the AFC right now.
Yeah. No, it's obviously really tough for us. So, like, we have to put everything behind the Colts because if they're gone, the three teams are left are AFC West and
they're big rivals and the team we all hate,
the Evil Empire.
Yeah.
But, if that happens, obviously we have to put all our eggs in the NFC basket, which, I had to do back in 2007 with the Giants and the Packers when the Chargers and the Patriots played in the AFC Championship game.
Exactly.
So I'm going to take the Chiefs.
All right. Oh, you son of a bitch.
I'm taking the Chiefs.
Son of a bitch. All right, cool. You go Chiefs. I go Colts.
Okay.
Then we got Cowboys, Rams. This might be a fun game.
Yeah, okay. Quick note on this game. I will not be able to watch it, and here's why. My grandfather's 92nd birthday party dinner is Saturday night, conveniently planned right at the start of this game.
Ooh.
Pretty selfish of him, honestly, to be born, in the divisional round, the day of the divisional round playoffs 92 years ago.
Yeah.
So
lack of foresight by him.
I'd have to agree. So my question for you, and this is kind of risky, and I haven't attempted this since the 2013 NFL draft. Do you think it's possible to go dark for an entire evening, record the game, make it home, and watch the game from start to finish without having the game being spoiled for me?
Can you do it? Yeah, but you got to shut your phone off.
I can do that.
That's all you got to do. Unless you've got family members who are going to be checking scores.
I can threaten violence against them if they do.
Yeah, that's always
including my grandfather.
Hey, old man.
Yeah, listen up, pal.
Zip your lip.
So I'm, this is going to be tough. It's going to be, it's going to be a very tense evening if that's the case.
Yeah.
And of course, if there's a TV at the restaurant, this all goes out the window.
That's true. Do you know what restaurant? Is it Olive Garden?
No. It's an Italian restaurant. And,
I was on the right track.
Yeah.
Is it
not a chain though? Not a chain.
It's probably Fangio's.
Yeah, it's Fangio's. They're showing the game at Fangio's.
All right, who are you going to take in this game?
I am going to take the Rams.
Me too.
Yes.
And here's why. Besides, fuck the Cowboys. It is I think the Rams offense is – I think Sean McVay's had too much time to think about how he wants to approach this game. I think the Rams offense can outperform the Cowboys defense. It's they're not going to make the same mistake the Seahawks made. And then I think the Rams defense, even though we've seen them get gashed, in the rushing game quite a few times this season, I think Dak Prescott's going to struggle with Aaron Donald on the opposite there. And then also, who is Amari Cooper's and Michael Crabtree's biggest enemies? It was Aqib Talib, right?
That's right.
It was Aqib Talib. Marcus Peters also has done a really good job against Amari Cooper. I think Cooper's only had one catch against Aqib Talib in his entire career. I think I heard that on NFL Network. So
it's not going to throw it to Allen Hurns. So
no, Allen Hurns.
Was that the worst injury you've seen ever? That might have been the worst injury I've seen in live television.
It was. Alex Smith
was
pretty. Yeah, Alex Smith's was bad, but the thing that made
this was worse.
The thing that made Hurns is you could see the exact moment that his ankle just fucking.
Yes. Yeah, I felt like I heard it snap.
Yeah, it was insane.
And the replay was silent. I saw it on the regular wide view, the wide broadcast view. I saw his foot, and it's is there someone underneath him? Nice. No, his foot is just the opposite direction.
It's the wrong way.
It should be. And when they cut to replay, I was like, oh, no, this is going to be bad. This is going to be bad. This is going to be bad. And sure enough, it just corkscrewed 180 degrees around. And Joe Buck was trying really hard not to say, oh, fuck, what was that?
Yeah. He was just like,
oh, good Lord.
good Lord. Okay, we're going to a commercial.
I'm going to throw up.
Yeah.
Daddy needs another Bud Light.
No, yeah. You hate seeing like those injuries, but hearing the announcers react to
pretty funny.
It's like now Alan Hearns is okay. The surgery went well. He should be back next year. That's the crazy thing about the
I think it was just such a clean break, though. That's maybe. Why, I think.
Yeah. No, that was nuts.
Very clean. It looked like a clean snap. Not even a break, just a snap.
Yeah, it was bad.
Imagine that.
Yeah, and you can see like Bobby Wagner react to it. He was like walking over, and he saw.
That's what I did. I was watching in my chair at home. I was watching in a chair, and I stood up and ran away and just yelled, "No!"
Yeah, it's fucked up. It's like it's the worst part of the game is seeing that shit.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I'd probably saw my leg off if that happened, like on the spot, because the worst injury I've had was like I twisted an ankle and I wanted to throw up then. So I think I'd probably pass out actually if that happened to me. So credit to Alan Hearns for just having like a couple of tears streaming down his face.
Yeah.
Probably the toughest person of all time.
You win the toughest person of all time award, Alan. We're both taking the Rams.
Yep. Chargers, right. Patriots.
Ooh, yeah. I'm gonna pick the Chargers to win the game. Just gonna do it.
I'm gonna take them too. This is a Patriots team that probably shouldn't have. They didn't deserve a first round bye. I think the rest of the AFC was just kind of weak. And I think, people are saying like, well, after how, the Chargers played against the Ravens, they shouldn't be. I don't care. I don't care how you win in the playoffs. Like, as long as you win, a win is a win is a win. Like I said the same thing after the Broncos beat the Steelers back in 2015. Like that was an ugly win in the playoffs too. It just doesn't matter in the playoffs how you win. No. And
here's the thing.
I think they'll get it done.
What I saw from the Chargers was a pass rush that looked like it did last year.
Yeah.
They sacked Lamar Jackson 7 times. Obviously, with a quarterback like Lamar Jackson, you can't put all of those sacks on the offensive line. But you also know like how elusive a guy like Jackson is. So I think if the Chargers can handle him and Gus Bradley put together like a great game plan of just like saying, okay, fuck it, we won't play with any linebackers really today. We're just going to put like 10 safeties on the field and make sure Jackson doesn't beat us. I'm thinking like they can have a decent plan for the Patriots, at least for the first half, because, the Patriots will be like, okay, they're doing this. We'll change everything and, beat them in the second half. But I like that the Chargers defense was able to get after Jackson. I think they can put Brady under the same sort of duress. And we have seen Brady really not do well under pressure, specifically this season. So that's kind of why I like the Chargers. Also, Phillip Rivers has his ACL in this game.
A big advantage compared to last time.
So, Chargers, give me them. Give me them.
Yeah, I mean, as long as Melvin Gordon isn't doing the same thing as LaDainian Tomlinson in that game and just, like, sadly sitting in a huge jacket with his helmet on and, like, the dark visor.
Right, yeah. He was hurt, right?
I think he'll be in a better place. Yeah, I think he sprained his MCL, which I think is oddly the same injury as Melvin Gordon.
Oh, shit.
Time is a flat circle. It's True Detective coming back to HBO, by the way.
Oh, yeah. This weekend, huh?
Circle. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And like to the point I made about the Chiefs, like the Patriots haven't beaten a good team in a while either. I mean, obviously they beat up on the AFC East except for the Dolphins, and they lost to the Steelers, who didn't make the playoffs.
They lose to Dolphins, they lose to Steelers, and then they finish on a win streak against the Bills and Jets. Ooh, intimidating.
It doesn't feel like Brady's been the same since that Chiefs game in the middle of the season. And that's probably the best team they beat all year. So
yeah,
I think they're gonna have a real challenge with the Chargers. And I think, like a lot of these teams, like a lot of it comes down to like teams are clearly intimidated to go into Foxborough in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like, you see it every year. Like the Titans obviously just weren't up to the challenge last year. Maybe it's just a case that they're getting really shitty teams in the divisional round, but like they did with the Titans last year. But like,
Titans beat the Chiefs to go shit the bed against the Patriots, but
I don't think this Chargers teams. Like, I don't think it matters to them, like whether they're playing on the home or road, because
the road warriors.
They're playing in a soccer stadium. That's like playing in a soccer stadium that's like 30,000 other fans rooting against them every week. And I think like Rivers, I don't think he cares. Like as much as I dislike Phillip Rivers, like the man, no, I can't imagine anything phases him at age like 37 with 1,500 children at home.
Yeah, he drives 2 hours to work every day in LA traffic. He was undefeated on the road this season. He has no fans at home to root him on. Like, this team is built to upset a Patriots team in the at Gillette Stadium.
Yeah, like I think like when the Patriots run out of the tunnel and they play Crazy Train by Ozzy Osbourne, like it gets under some quarterback's skin. And I just picture Phillip Rivers like sitting there with a bolo tie on playing dueling banjos from Deliverance.
In his head?
Like that kid, yeah.
I was going to say listening to Kenny Chesney in his head, but dueling banjos is better.
Yeah. I think he's going to he'll either win or he'll just have a great game and lose valiantly. But I don't see him just sucking outright.
Yeah, he has to win to prevent Tom Brady from kissing all of his children.
Yeah, no, I think that's a fair point.
That's a crossover.
And that's not analysis that you're getting on TV.
Nope. Heard it here first.
Yep. Exclusive.
Right. So we're both taking the Chargers?
Yeah, I guess so.
All right, Will. Sacked up for that one. And then finally, how come the AFC doesn't get either of the final games? That's
a good question.
That's bullshit, NFL.
I think it rotates every year.
Oh, okay.
Because at least in the AFC Championship game, they switch like who was the first game and the second game.
Okay, fine.
I was thinking about it. I was thinking about it in the car today. Like, would you like it if they played one championship game on Saturday and one on Sunday as opposed to back-to-back on Sunday?
Oh, for like next weekend?
Yeah.
No, I'd prefer them both be on Sunday.
You like them together?
Yeah. That way both of my days aren't fucked because of football.
Well, I mean, like, hypothetically, only your nights would be.
I don't care. Like, I look at the games as work. So
okay, fair.
If one's on Saturday, one's on Sunday, I'm like, well, I'm not doing anything at all this weekend except working. If I were just a fan, maybe.
I'm not a fan. I am an analyst. And more so, I'm a journalist.
I am a fake journalist, and I stick to doing things.
Yeah.
All right, final game.
Anybody who follows me on Twitter knows I'm completely objective all the time.
Exactly. Eagles at Saints. Oh yeah. Did you see this on Twitter? Did you see what Sean Payton said?
See this? You hear about this? Yeah, I did. He wheeled in $225,000, which is their Super Bowl bonus, and the Lombardi.
Put the Lombardi trophy on the $250,000 and said to his team, "You want this? Win 3 fucking games." Then I'm assuming walked out of the room. I don't know what he did after. That I would like to know.
Not unlike Sean
for a Q&A.
Not unlike Sean Payton to offer money for specific objectives.
That's right.
I like it. I can't think about this game, Eagles at Saints in the Superdome, without thinking of Sheldon Brown sending Reggie Bush into another dimension on that one hit.
Oh, I don't remember that hit.
Back in 2006.
You'll have to send me that clip so we can put it in the prediction episode.
Yeah, you'll know it when you see it. It's like Breeze is dropping back and like throwing like the laziest swing pass ever to the right side, and Sheldon Brown, the cornerback, comes in and hits Reggie Bush in midair, and just sends them into next month.
I always forget, Reggie Bush is a Super Bowl champion, isn't he?
Yep. One more Super Bowl champion than you and I.
Yep. Man, this is a really hard game to pick. I think maybe the hardest because
I don't know. I'm taking the Saints, and I feel pretty confident about it.
I'm taking the Saints because I picked the Eagles to lose every game last postseason, and it turned into a thing of me helping them. So I feel like if I pick the Eagles, that jinxes them to definitely lose. But I pick the Saints, then I can say, oh, yeah, I'm doing my thing where I pick the Eagles to lose and they keep winning. And if I'm wrong, then I pick the game correctly because the Saints should be arguably the best team in the NFC, and they should be able to beat the Eagles. The difference this time around is the Eagles' defensive line's playing a lot better. And
Yeah, I mean, the first time they played this season, it was, 44-7?
Yeah.
Which was the biggest, the worst defeat for a defending Super Bowl champion in NFL history. Surprised the Broncos don't have that record.
Right. And the thing the Saints aren't going to do is make the mistake, that the Chicago Bears did and not get the ball in one of their best players' hands more than 4 times. So
yes.
Drew Brees is going to find mismatches. He's got too many weapons. The Eagles are going to have to score a lot of points, I think, to keep up with the Saints, which they can obviously do. Like, as you pointed out last week, the thing that's cool about Nick Foles is, he never gets rattled. The game always feels the same to him. I don't know. I'm hoping kind of for a high-scoring game here, just so it gets a little crazy. But
yeah, I think it's going to be Saints by 2 scores. I think they're just, too
You think the Eagles' magic is what's actually going to run out this week?
Yeah. I think that magic is going to run out. I think it's Saints by 2 scores. I think they're too locked in after how they lost in the divisional round last year.
Yeah.
I think they've just been waiting for this for basically a year.
It's like when, the Broncos lost to Jacksonville the first game after they looked like the best team in the AFC all year. Yeah, I'll go with the Saints too, though. I'm going to pick the Saints.
All right, so we're the same except for the first game.
Oh, yeah, I got Colts, you got Chiefs?
Yeah.
And then, of course, okay, cool. Yeah. Then we'll give season totals before the AFC, the championship games, just so everybody knows where we're at.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll even be swayable at that point. I'll have to tally it up.
Yeah, you got to let us know if it's worth picking the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
We're just going to quit this
we're just
podcast.
Not going to make a Super Bowl pick.
Yeah.
I'll just say whatever happens will happen.
No, we quit the football podcast that we started in June, right before the Super Bowl.
Yes.
We started this podcast when there was nothing to talk about, and then at the biggest game of the year, we're just going to give up.
Don't care. Not interested.
All right, well.
I live for the off season.
Yeah, you do, Will. You're an off-season grinder.
Yeah. Me grinding tape. Watching the all 22.
That's right, every day. Okay, well, thanks for listening to the podcast, The Game Picks. Follow Wilkies on Twitter at Wilkies6. He is a moderately decent Twitter follow.
Yeah, I'm okay.
And bye.
See you.